All right, welcome everyone to the Loans Can Be Fun podcast. Don't know what episode we're on, but
Doesn't much matter.
yeah,
We all just talk
we
about
are
stuff.
joined again today by the wonderful Scott Nelson.
Howdy.
You guys, this is exciting stuff because he's a super genius.
Yes, so
It's like official. It should be on his business card.
exactly
Compliance will never approve it.
super genius.
I know. I was told in our mortgage stuff that we could not put like the best or anything like that. So I was like,
no superlatives.
whatever.
Yeah, it's in the contract.
Subjective. Anyway.
Even if it's proven that you are.
No.
Even if I have
No.
a certificate from my mom.
Now,
Exactly.
Wiley Coyote had that super genius on his, but
Oh
we're not
man, I don't know
allowed.
if I'd compare myself to that guy. So anyway. Okay, so we're going to talk to Scott today, and we kind of wanted to ask Scott questions about Social Security. What I'm finding is as we're asking these questions, I don't actually know a lot of what Scott knows, and that's why we do this, right? Because
Exactly.
there's a lot of information that's not right, and
We like to pretend we know what's going on.
yeah, and so we
but-
nod a lot and go, totally.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
sure.
So anyway, so we want Scott to kind of tell us about Social Security, if he thinks it's going to be there, all the things we worry about. So can you kind of give us just a summary of what it is, what you think is going to happen to it, and then we'll kind of go into it.
I'm
I know it's
we'll-
a $1 million
we'll
question,
interject.
right? Yeah, I know, we'll
Oh,
talk.
Careful what you ask for. So, a couple things about me. I do know what I'm talking about, and I've passed tests to prove it. One of
Oh
my
yeah,
co-
we should introduce
Oh,
you.
it's all
Doug,
good.
Even though
No.
you've been on a couple other podcasts. We'll
No,
do
I
the-
appreciate it, but no, as a financial advisor, I have some designations besides, one of which is a retirement income certified
And that's how we
professional.
met.
Correct. I also have my National Social Security Advisor designation, which the SEC doesn't recognize, but I had to sit through 2 days of classes and take a test.
that sounds fun.
So, Social Security was the linchpin of FDR's New Deal, right?
Yep.
Back in 1935.
The fact that
And-
he remembers the dates
I
just
know.
amazes me.
Test, study,
He had to study for the test.
study.
I remember the New Deal because they did a lot of like parks and had people working.
It was a big thing, right?
Yes.
America
Sorry
was
for
just
interrupting.
coming
And I knew
out.
a song from the elementary school about New Deal, New Deal. Anyway, we'll do
Yeah.
that later.
No, I mean, in the time, America was just coming out of the Great Depression. Horrible economic period. The Social Security program was designed and passed as a very financially solid social safety net. In fact, if you look on your pay stub, you may see something on there that says something like OASDI.
Yep.
Old Age Security and Disability Insurance.
Oh, is that what that stands for? I never knew what that stood for. I'm like, they're going to take it anyway.
Stuff you didn't know.
Whether or not I know
know
what that
It
is, they're
is.
still going to take it.
We learned
All right.
something.
And so when Social Security was implemented, here you go. Here's your test. How many workers were paying into the system for each recipient in 1935?
2. For each
17.
recipient?
There were 40.
Did you see his face?
No.
There were 42 workers paying in for each recipient.
Okay.
I was close.
Okay.
That means I win.
I was being sarcastic, but
Well, you're closer to right for what it is today, but we'll come to that in a minute. Okay, so there were 42 people paying in for each recipient. Okay, next question. How old did a person need to be in 1935 in order to first claim Social Security benefits?
45. Oh, I'm 50. I'm going to go
Whoa.
50 then.
No,
27.
it was actually 65.
You know what? Now
The
that you say that,
62
yeah, because
early
that was
age
like
was
the
new.
retirement. That was what people considered to be retirement. Like when my parents were growing up, like 65 was
65
Yeah,
was
that-
it.
okay, so that makes
Medicare
sense.
came in then as well. That got passed later in 1965.
on March 11th. I'm just kidding.
Well,
14.
I forget, but it was
02
Lyndon B.
time.
Johnson, so it was after Nick. Yeah. Anyway, so so there were 42 people paying in. You had to be 65 years old to claim. What was the average life expectancy for Americans in 1935?
70.
Good guess, but high.
70. Oh, high. 68.
High.
Really?
62?
62. Okay.
So they're like, you're
So
going to
thinking
die.
about it.
Well,
Most of you are going to die. So
Right. So, I mean, in that era,
it made sense. Like,
you worked until you were dead or you couldn't any longer. And if you couldn't, then Social Security, they figured 65 was the thing. And they didn't figure that even half of Americans would live long enough to claim.
and now everybody, that's like their
Now-
retirement plan.
True, it's morphed. But then let's think about it one more step. If you lived to be 65 and you got on claim in 1935, how long was the average person collecting those checks before they tipped over dead?
6
a
months.
year.
Good guess. 2 years.
Okay.
Okay.
2 years. Does that sound like a solid program?
In that scenario, sure.
Totally.
Yeah, it was a great program. Great
And
program. It
just
was
so
a
you guys know,
social
I'm going to live
safety net.
forever.
Good to know.
will.
That helps us plan. All right.
Absolutely. He's like,
and
you're
for
toast.
anybody that ever comes in, I'm going to tell you, if you could tell me exactly when you're going to tip over
You could
dead,
plan
it
for
helps
it.
the math a lot, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Your job's going to change a whole bunch when they figure out how to stop aging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, but people are just going to have to work for longer because I think
Well-
you'd be bored anyway if you were in good health and.
Well, you got to
just
do
sit-
something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we fast forward to today, what would you guess is the ratio of workers to recipients?
3 to
Two.
1. 3 to 1.
2 to 1.
2.9, so Trevor gets it.
All right.
Okay. But right now we have this phenomenon. So if we look at the demographics of America, this started happening with the Henry Ford generation. Tom Brokaw renamed them later. These are the guys that fought in World War II, you know, and the Rosie the Riveter, you know, World
No,
War
I
II
don't know.
generation.
I
You've
don't-
seen the posters.
I have not seen Rosie the Riveter, no, but.
That girl that's like this?
Oh, is that who?
sure.
I didn't know
That's
that was her
Rosie
name.
the-
I actually have a shirt like that has a loan officer doing.
we got to catch you
Yeah.
up.
I know,
for
apparently.
sure.
I have a
You think
shirt
I'm
with
here?
her on it, but it's about loan officers. So,
Uncultured, pink-haired lady.
I know. We got to catch you
what's
up.
your favorite cartoon? All right.
So we have a phenomenon right now because right now we have a generation known as the
Millennial, or, well, I guess it's gone.
before the millennials are
you talking the boomers?
The boomers.
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents are
Boomers.
both boomers.
Yeah. I happened to fall into that barely. I caught the tail end.
What's the years for the boomers?
So that's 1946 to 1964.
So my parents aren't boomers. They're 40. They were born in 41.
Yeah, so they're going to be the silent generation is technically the cohort they belong
That
to.
doesn't apply to my mom.
I'm just telling you what they're called generally, okay?
I love her dearly. Okay.
So if you look at demographic charts, you know, and the populations that are within them, the baby boomer generation was the result of
The war.
World War II veterans and Korean War veterans coming home from war and doing something at a rate that had never been done before, right?
Right.
And so all of a sudden, here's this baby
of
boom
babies.
generation who's changed everything in every stage of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
More schools were built. Lee Iacocca made money on the baby boomers twice. First with the Ford Mustang, and then later at Chrysler with the minivan.
Interesting. Yeah.
Disposable diapers as the baby boomers became parents and so on, right? It just kind of
Yeah.
all came through. Well, now baby boomers are retiring at a rate of 10 to 12,000
There's
per
not enough.
day.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, because we've
per
talked about that when
day.
we talk about reverse mortgages.
It's
That's how many
huge.
people are retiring every single day, and in the mortgage world and housing front, those people need homes. But what happens when they all pass away? You know, what happens? You know, but it's something to think about. Where
Yeah,
it's like how many
no, it's a
houses are out
factor.
there, and anyway,
So as it affects Social Security, how is Social Security supposed to be funded? Do you know?
From
Was it a
those
bond?
three
You're
workers?
self-employed, which means you get to pay the whole thing, not
Right.
just half, right?
we're not technically self-employed. We're getting.
Oh, you're W-2?
They don't let us. They don't let us do that anymore. When I first started in mortgages,
well,
we
so
were.
on the plus side, that means that your employer is paying half
they're paying
of your
half of
FICA
it.
tax, right?
But then I can't write a lot of stuff off. So yeah, whatever.
Okay, so FICA tax is supposed to go towards Social Security and Medicare funding,
Okay.
right? So if you got 10 to 12,000 people a day coming off the payroll, what's that doing to the
Oh my
funding?
gosh.
The revenue's
Oh,
plummeting.
it's just plummeting.
And then they go right over to Social Security and do what?
They
Sign
file-
up for benefits and Medicare included.
Mm-hmm.
So those expenses for the government are skyrocketing while the
Yep.
revenues for them are plummeting.
going down.
Everyone knows this. It's not a secret. They've seen it coming
Right.
for decades, literally.
Right. But then they didn't do a whole lot about it.
Well, to be fair,
You're going to be fair. Okay.
they have been doing things because when you talk about millions of people,
Yeah.
if you can make little changes to it and tweak it,
Instead of drastic.
then it makes a big difference over time. And so they have extended full retirement age for Social Security benefits from 65 to 67.
Okay.
They've taken away virtually all the really cool claiming strategies that used to be available for married couples. You know, for example, once upon a time, now I'm just going stereotype here. It's kind of how it tends to be, but it's not
It's
always
fine.
that way. I'm not implying anything. But typically, you'd see the husband having the
Yep.
higher Social Security benefit. Not always.
We still see that most of the time when clients go
Because
through.
usually mothers, if they have children, tend to stay home
Yeah.
and nurture them at least
take
for a
the harder
while
job.
before.
It's
Yeah.
really
Oh,
not.
It's much
for
harder.
me, it's not hard when you're talking realities, but yeah. But feelings. Okay.
Yeah.
I would definitely
So
not last.
so typically they lose some earnings years.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
And so it used to be that a husband could file for benefits but suspend. So he's opened his claim, which allowed his wife to claim spousal benefits while he's not yet taking his own,
Interesting.
allowing them to grow with deferral credits and additional earnings and so on.
Okay. And they got rid
Right.
of that.
Well, it's still there, but both members of the couple have to have reached full Social Security age
Okay.
in order to do that. And so effectively, it's wiped
Doesn't
out
happen much.
98% of the really creative claiming strategies that used to exist. But when we talk about crediting on these, you know, a lot of people, if they were familiar at all with pensions that
Mm-hmm.
used to be much more common than they are today, those usually are based on your highest 3 or maybe 5 years of earnings and then a percentage or a percentage and a quarter, some formula, 1.1% of your highest 3 years for each year of service kind of a calculation. Social Security is not that way. It's based on your highest 35 years
Okay.
of earnings, right?
Okay.
And so
Like currently, that's how
Oh,
they
it's
look?
always
Okay.
been. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there are a couple of bend points in there, they call them, where they give inflation adjusted
Okay.
calculations to kind of bring it up to date, as it were. But it's your highest 35 years of earnings that are thrown in. So if you have someone who's been out of the workplace
Yep.
for however long you stayed to raise your kids or whatever, or if you're someone who participated in Social Security but then took a government job with a pension that were exempt from paying the FICA taxes,
Okay.
then you got a bunch of zeros in your formula,
Okay.
right?
So
So
if you work for a government job like your whole career, does that
you
mean
may
you're
not be eligible for Social Security at all.
But it
I
would be,
did
but you have a
not-
pension.
Yeah, they call it a WEP, WEP,
know that
windfall
at all.
elimination provision. So if you got a really cushy pension from a job that was exempt from Social Security, in other words, you could choose Social Security or this pension. If you chose the pension, depending on the amount of the pension and the number of Social Security credits, you may not even get the Social Security benefit at all.
That's really interesting.
Or if you're a spouse of someone who has Social Security, but you as the spouse had the pension, you may not get your spouse's, your widow's
my gosh.
benefit from Social Security.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah.
scary.
See, there's
My
stuff.
husband's from Alaska, and I think Alaska opted out of Social Security or something like that, or some version of that, because my husband actually got paid money for being a resident of Alaska every single year that they would use towards some sort of retirement account for their. But like they didn't
Yeah.
take Social Security,
can't
and they may have
speak to
changed that
that.
at this point, but
They may have.
yeah.
So with Social Security, we recognize we're down to 2.9 workers on our way to 2 to 1. Obviously, that's
crazy.
unsustainable by itself. We can claim at 62. How many years would you anticipate someone who claims at 62 to receive benefits today?
25 years.
Close, yeah, about 23.
Yeah.
23. I've had some people call me on that because they say, well, wait, Scott, life expectancy in America is like 78 or something. You're saying they're getting to 85? Yeah, because if we talk life expectancy on the whole, you're taking into account, infant mortality, teenage and early 20 stupidity, other things along the way. But if you make it to age 62, the probability is you're going to last to 85 on average.
Yep.
Obviously, some longer, some
Right.
shorter, but on average. So 23 years worth of benefits. So clearly there's an issue. The Social Security actually has a board of trustees, and they're charged with maintaining a sound program. Now, if Congress does nothing, the board, then they're good at that, right?
I was going to say, I didn't want to get political, but
I
But I
can
am.
blame both parties. I'm
No,
equal
they're
opportunity.
yeah.
They're not doing anything with it. So if they do
100%.
nothing, the Board of Trustees have a fail-safe plan. And the fail-safe plan says that if nothing changes, if we continue on the course we're on, in order to maintain the soundness of the plan, they will cut benefits across the board about 25-ish
percent.
percent.
That would
And that's projected to happen sometime around 2033. They put out a report every year, and you can look it up, and it varies. It kind of
Yeah.
depends on how things have gone. And
Well, I look at just even like the government shutdown and things like that. They can't even like figure out how to fund it tomorrow,
Right.
but they just keep kicking the can down the road.
yeah,
I just feel like
But-
they need some long-term solutions. I mean, I'm obviously not there and I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but it's going to come a calling if they don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're seeing it today. We're seeing the U.S. credit rating
I
has
saw.
been downgraded by a couple of different rating
What was the word they used? It
agencies.
was like
negative outlook.
negative outlook.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, in 2023, there are 4 budget categories that are projected to consume 103% of the projected revenues
Oh,
collected.
jeez.
You wanna
Social
take us-
Security,
Social Security,
Medicare.
Medicare.
I'm going to say like
You're in lending.
military.
No, didn't make the list.
FHA stuff, mortgage insurance stuff.
No, but the interest on the national debt.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I watch
And
that ticker
Medicaid.
sometimes and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, if you want to get scared, look at the usdebtclock.org.
Right? It's, yeah.
Oh yeah, that thing's spinning. Okay, so those 4 items
Heaven forbid
take
we live within a budget.
103% of the revenue. That means we're borrowing money for everything else, including Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, the Defense Department, Border
Yep.
Security, the court system, national parks,
It's all paid with borrowed
everything,
money.
all of law enforcement, Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, da-da-da. It's all borrowed money.
Strike
and
a
so,
match, start over.
Well,
I'm just,
you say that, but that has serious repercussions.
oh, yeah.
Right?
No, I mean, absolutely.
So how do, yeah.
I joke more
So-
like Armageddon, like it's going to be like we're all
But-
hiding in our bunkers.
But for people that are saying Social Security won't be there, so I want to claim today, so I start getting benefits, that has its own set of issues. For example, if a person claims at 62, then continues working, if they're making more than about, I forget the number exactly this year, but if they're making more than, let's just for argument's sake, say it's $23,000 a year, for every $2 they earn above whatever that limit is, they're going to take back $1 of Social Security.
So you end up having to pay back.
So
into it.
it kind of wipes out that as a realistic option. If you're looking at retirement planning, there's a lot of different variables that you've got to take into account. If you're strictly looking at how can I get the most benefit from Social Security, it's almost always going to mean wait till you're 70 and then turn it on then.
What is like the oldest age you can turn it on?
Well, I mean, you can wait forever, but you have no additional deferral credits after age 70. So there's no...
So like somebody's telling me I'm going to claim at 72, and I was like...
Why wait?
That's what I was wondering.
Why wait?
Okay.
If you reach your full retirement age, and that's a moving target right now, depending on your age, if you're born 1960 or later, that's 67.
Okay.
So let's just use that. So once you've reached your full retirement age, as Social Security sees it, right? Then you can make all the money you want to, and they don't penalize you or take anything away.
So that's why some people go back to work after they've started claiming, but they've gone past that if they're bored or whatever, or they want to, I guess.
So the penalty for working and getting Social Security, kind of a double dip penalty, shall we call it? It's not its official title, but we'll leave it there.
I like it.
Then once you're full retirement age, you can get your Social Security benefit and work and earn as much as you want. They won't penalize you.
They're still collecting Social Security from you, right?
They are, and your benefit will still reflect that as they do the calculations each year.
Interesting.
But we haven't addressed Social Security taxation. Did you know Social Security can be taxed?
We know that just because in lending, if it's taxed, we have to count a lower amount than if it's not. Like we can gross up the non-taxable Social Security on certain loans.
Right. There
and
you go.
so that's the reason we know.
Yeah, the only reason.
Yeah. That they can tax it, which to me, it seems asinine to me that they can tax something that you've already paid into the system. But tell me more.
Yeah, they see it differently.
Oh, absolutely.
They see it differently. So this all started when Ronald Reagan was president. So it's not new.
Right.
But it's not something most of us deal with. So there's a formula called a provisional income formula. And unlike many other things in the tax code, these levels have never been indexed for inflation. So those of you listening, please write your Congress people. That should be changed because in my view, that's an unfair excess tax on the elderly.
Yeah.
But what it says is for a married couple filing jointly, for example, if your provisional income number is greater than $32,000 a year, then half of your Social Security gets added in to calculate your modified adjusted gross income. If that provisional income number is greater than $44,000 a year, then they'll put 85% of your Social Security in to your adjusted gross income calculation for tax.
So the more you make, the more they're going to take from you.
But it stops at 85%. So you're still getting 15% back tax-free.
Okay.
That's what they're saying is what you paid in. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So that's something that needs to take into account in
really
putting together a plan. So I guess my favorite answer on most stuff, when should I claim Social Security? It depends. When should I claim my pension? It depends.
How long you planning on living?
Should I? Yeah. Well, partly, but there are other variables. So the key is to find somebody that knows their stuff, that has a process and a checklist to go through.
Yeah. Like Scott.
Scott.
To find the optimal
Nelson,
answer for you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, you know,
SLN Financial. I'm just kidding.
appreciate it. Yeah, look us up. Book a free consultation. We'll
Yeah,
help you
so
out.
I mean, I'm truly like I laugh, but like I truly am planning on coming to Scott. In the mortgage world, it's been rough the last couple of years because our income has gone down a lot because of the
High rates.
higher rates. So I was telling, I think I said at some point, I'm like, back when I make some money, I'll come talk to you again, you know, because it's like right now there's nothing spare. I'm doing my 401k, but there's nothing, you know, but it's still a good thing to look at either way so that you can plan. And
Right.
so I am like, I've talked to Scott a lot. I just have to get him on my crap because I'm a slacker.
Yeah, we have a checklist for
A reason.
clients too. we want to see all the variables, you know. and-
Well, like we talked about in other episodes, like trusts and, you know, and wills and things like that. Like I need to bring in my trust, not all my, it's a lot of stuff I'd be bringing you, but that's the whole point. But I mean, some people aren't as complicated as my stuff with various LLCs and all that stuff, but you have to have the whole picture because if you pull at the wrong time, you could be taxed more and things like that. So is there truth to that if you, let's say you can retire at 62 and start pulling, but you decide to wait till you're 70, that you'll get more money per month if you wait?
Yeah, so
Okay,
you
tell
could
me about that.
you could retire early, and if you've got enough income from other resources to maintain your lifestyle, yes, you can defer your Social Security until age 70 and receive deferral credits for doing so.
Okay, so that's how it builds up. Is it basically because you didn't take it from 62 till whenever, then they spread that over?
Well, we
those
talk
years?
about the 35 years of earnings history that goes in to calculate what your benefit will be at your full retirement age.
Okay, the official.
That's
okay.
the key number. Then if you claim sooner than that, they take money away from that benefit.
That makes sense.
And if you defer until age 70, they will effectively give you an 8% credit each year that you
Okay.
deferred. And that you don't have to wait till the anniversary. Each month you defer gets 1/12 of that
Okay. That's
deferral
interesting.
credit
Okay.
and adjust
these are
the
all
number
things that-
higher.
I don't know.
And then Social Security is nice because they do index it for inflation. We can argue about how accurate that is. And in my observation, the cost of living adjustment is given insufficiently and late.
Yeah.
And so over time, what tends to happen is people's lifestyle expenditures go up faster than their
just
cost of living
lags.
adjustment, and eventually lines cross, and you've got to draw from other
Well, I
resources.
mean, we've had that where people, you know, come to us and they're in their retirement age and they need to pull some money out because things got too expensive and they couldn't live within what
Yeah.
they're used
They're
to.
what they
Yeah.
have been for years.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
things just got too expensive. So absolutely.
Had a phone call yesterday, and I have another one when I get back to the office today that I need to address.
His
Somebody
office in Brigham
the
City,
same-
but he comes anywhere. So, and he'll talk to you on Zoom anytime.
Yep. Yep.
I just need to get past the point where I have to pay for daycare, and then I can start saving.
You know what? And if you can get daycare
If I
going, you'll
can-
have a lot of money.
I know,
I'm
it's
going to get a really nice
ridiculous.
Christmas present once those kids are in
It's
school
like
all the time.
$900 a month.
crazy.
I wish I
Sorry.
still had a spreadsheet I started when my kids were younger, and I started just plugging in
Just so
everything.
you could tell them how much
Tell
they
them how
cost
I
much
you.
they
spent this
cost.
much, and then the file
So
got
when I need
corrupted back in the
diapers
day of
changed.
floppy disks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, no, there are some folks that, do use reverse mortgages
Yeah.
as a tool in retirement. And it has its place.
Right, and it's not for everybody.
It's a tool. If
Just like that some people annuities are a tool if you like
Yeah.
that sort of thing, or pensions.
They're all
so it's like the
tools.
overall picture that you're going to look at and say, hey, we're missing something. There's a gap is what I'm trying to say in the plan.
Yeah.
And try to fill that with a good
How
product
can we
or a good tool.
optimize that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was trying to say gaping hole and gap, and it didn't work.
So I know that a lot of this is going to apply for people when they get older or they already are older. But for the younger people that are listening
Are you
or
talking about
watching,
me?
or me, like if you could just have like one piece of advice for someone, that still has a long time of working left, what would be your one piece for them to start? Like to make
A
retirement
suggestion?
easier, like a suggestion.
Have a
Is it-
budget.
Have a budget?
Have a budget. Create and follow a budget. And in your budget, include a percentage of your income towards savings.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be amazed at what a little bit of that'll do over time.
On that note, my husband and I, because we don't see money the same way, we kind of set up our own discretionary account. And so,
That
but when I
can
look
be in
at
your budget.
huh?
That can be in your budget.
Right, but so that was kind of what we did. Like any money, because my money changes monthly, right? I don't always. Well, now we do because they just switched us to like level. But it was always just if we had a busy month, I could pull more, whatever. And so, but we just set a percentage. This is what you can get, right? And we already had money being pulled out for 401k and all those things. But when you realize how much that amassed to over a couple year period, you're exactly right. Where it's like 5-10% of your stuff, of your money, can grow to a lot.
So would you recommend just leaving that in savings?
No.
Or what would you do if you could start over right now with the knowledge you have?
Invest in Google. That's what
yeah,
I-
if you had a time machine,
Apple.
Well,
right?
of course, if you had a time machine.
We've
but
talked about that.
But as of
Invest
like
in
right
Apple.
now, or like buy Bitcoin when it's like a penny.
There you go. Crypto's up a little bit lately.
I know. My husband's all excited. I'm like, well, have we actually gotten back to where we bought it? He's like, we're close. I'm like, cool.
I'm ahead.
Just I know that a lot
I
of
know
people
you would be.
my age or even a little bit older don't even know where to start. Like they
Well,
have
again,
a budget. but like,
have a budget. Know where every dollar's going. Live on less than you make. That sounds simple.
I wish you would have told me that sooner. Just kidding.
no more spiders.
Too many people don't have a budget and they live by checking their balance on their phone. Is there money in there? Oh, great. But they're not taking into account
Your credit card
the
bill's coming in.
scheduled payment that's going to come out in another couple of days. It's really not there, right? But they do it that way. Have a budget. All savings is deferred spending. That's all it is. I'm going to not spend it now, so I have it later. And if you get enough money working for you, great. Have an emergency fund. Build up to it. Make it a budget line item. And when you have 3 to 6 months worth of, I could pay all the bills for 3 to 6 months, then great. You've got it tapped out.
I've got to rebuild mine after the
Let's-
last year and a half in the mortgage world.
Yeah. Then okay, you got to work at it again. If you work for an employer who will match your contributions, you should at least be investing as much as they will match. Otherwise, you're walking away from free money that you'll never see again. You
Yep.
can't do that over. So take advantage of that. And then beyond that, find an advisor, interview them.
And we know Scott Nelson would be happy to take your calls.
Exactly.
You want someone who's looking out for your best interest, who's a fiduciary by license. They have to do what's best for you and prove it to auditors. And then look for opportunities to just maximize what you have. You'll be amazed what happens if you can get rid of your debt. I mean, think about your debt service payments, including the mortgage. No offense,
No, I mean,
serves as
well, that's a huge
tool,
portion of
right?
most people's income.
But if you could take those dollars now and pick your favorite investment, right? What could that do for you? Then you'll have enough. So if Social Security is only 75% of what you thought it was going to be, it's not going to hurt, right?
Yeah.
And vote early, vote often, like they say in Chicago.
Awesome.
Oh my
right.
gosh,
Well-
vote often. That's,
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure this isn't the last time you'll be
Yeah.
joining us on our
I know.
podcast.
Every time I talk to you, like I love it because I learn so much. And like in most things, you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
Correct.
And a lot of those things end up coming back to haunt you because you never learned it. So I'm excited to have you
Yeah.
on here for our, people to learn from this because, as you see,
Yeah.
most people don't know it.
And
So
we're not taught financial things in school.
no.
No,
But
sadly.
hey, we have, chemistry taught by a high school basketball coach, but it's
right?
cool.
But it's just like, it's kind of like something that you just don't talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
No, true.
I talk with my kids all the time. We're with their Halloween candy or any candy. We're like, okay, so let's talk about taxes. I'm going to take, X of your candy. And they're like, that's not fair. And I was like,
I use
that's
that
how it
all
works.
the time. My
Mommy,
daughters will
daddy
be like, can I
tax.
have a cracker? I'm like, sure. Dad tax.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think, when you've been hurt by people, you want to hurt other people. I'm just kidding.
Therapy. That's therapy.
No, but thank you so much for coming in.
Yes,
We
thank
always
you.
enjoy
My pleasure.
having you, and we will absolutely have you again. So everyone call
Super.
Scott Nelson or get on the website. What are you changing it? Do you know yet?
Well, so far it's AskScottNelson.com.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you change it, we'll just redirect it to that
Perfect.
and whatever.
Yeah.
So AskScottNelson.com, make an appointment with him, and he's awesome to answer your questions and very patient and not pushy.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Appreciate you having me.
You bet.